Today, we are diving into what the internet I know is all wondering, and that is, why in the world does my right eye look like the way it does? And before we dive into that, I want to at least give the tiniest, briefest little trigger warning, because we do have some gunshot violence involved in this story. It is minute. It is there. With that, let's get going. Let's get into it. So the way that I lost my sight, I was born with both eyes and being able to see out of both eyes. And in 2001, my parents got a divorce in January, and they started the process of getting a divorce. And for the summer, they separated, obviously, and then we were sent to a babysitter during the day in the summertime because we weren't going to school. And my mom worked in DC, and we were living like an hour outside of DC at the time. We were at a babysitter's house, and I think it was not even 2 days into this whole entire, I think we had maybe a week of her coming to pick us up just for the day, but then my mom had this work trip in mid-June that like we were going to stay at her house for, and it was not even like that far into it. I think like literally my mom was on the plane when this shit went down. Needless to say, like details, semantics. We were at a babysitter's house, and we were there. I am the middle child between an older brother and a younger brother, and my older brother is 4 years older than me. And we've always like had some more like friction inside of our relationship. And so it's the second day that we're there, and we've gone through the day. It's the mid-afternoon, and I go out on the front porch, and he's there, and he's got a BB gun in his hands, and I don't even like truly process that scenario. But then I walk further down the porch, and then he asks me to turn around, that he's got something for me. And in the process of me turning around and me like standing and looking at him, he pulls the trigger without realizing that the safety was not in fact on like he thought it was. And it's just a BB gun. It's just a BB gun. But it is fascinating because it like cracks me up, because it like, you can't make it up, because a BB so freaking small, like not even any bigger than the freaking like camera I'm looking at right now, right? Like the actual like focal point of the camera, and hitting the smallest, tiniest, yet mightiest nerves in the human body that connect the eye to the brain. Literally, that's what happened. My brother shoots me. The BB comes out of the gun, and I was wearing glasses at the time, and it actually like saved my life, or at least like very much so saved me from like further injury having glasses. And so that slowed the velocity. It came in, the BB came in, maybe a little graphic. The BB came in and hit my back, hit the optic nerve, the set of nerves that connects the eye to the brain, that translates what it is that the eye is seeing into what it is that you are interpreting it as. And it is, it's, you just can't make it up. Like I also am like, that's one of those things that I'm also like, you can try to tell me that like divinity doesn't exist, and then like I hear my own story. And it immediately blinded me in my right eye for the rest of my life. Like, unless there's, barring some sort of like technological advancement, that's like the gist of my existence. And it has been, that was 8. I'm 31. I have no problem telling anybody that I'm 31. And I think I'm aging rather nicely, maybe in reverse, I'd like to think. And through that process, so much of the journey has become about owning myself, being authentic in who I am, and really having the deeper rooted esteem and like the respect of myself to honor myself enough to own myself out there in the world. Because that happened between 2nd to 3rd grade. And then what happened in 4th grade is that my parents were like, oh yeah, let's have her have a normal experience with childhood, even, and like into the preteen, into the teenage years. Let's bar her from getting made fun of how much she's already going to get made fun of. Like, it was made fun of a lot through probably all the way up until college, probably through college, if we're being really real. Anyway, and my parents tried to bar me from whatever level of that they could have tried to save me from that, right? So I ended up getting a prosthetic shell, which was this beautiful piece of artwork, honestly, that this man in like McLean, no, it was Alexandria. It was in Alexandria. Hand painted himself. Like, it was such a process. It was rather painful. And I've probably had like 10 I called them shells, for like 10. I probably have had 10 of them over the like 15 years that I wore them. I think it was 15 years. I took it out in 2017, 15 years. Yeah, almost 15 years. So yeah. And so, oh my gosh, yes. And then the best part, really, truly the best part, like, I started wearing the shell, and at first I did feel normal, but I always was very self-conscious and very aware of how different it looked from my other eye, even though this man did like amazing work. And so I like really got to this point when I moved to Michigan, and like after I moved to Michigan, that I was just like, and I remember like being in my beautiful Richmond apartment and in the bedroom of the apartment, like after my going away party for going and moving to Michigan, and like just existing without my shell on. And it was just like such a moment of like me being able to be myself. Like, yeah, it was behind closed doors, but like I was also like able to be who I really am. And really from that point, and then when I got to Michigan, I started really honing in on personal development. It became my like a huge hobby, like literally my hobby. And then it became my, and I don't know why anybody decided that like personal development was a hobby, but like it ain't a hobby. Like, I'm just, no. I can like believe that it is, but it's not. And so I decided to also make it my work, and I got very dedicated to it. But in the process of my coaching certification, which like I was a very young coach, I was 23 when I started as a life coach. So I decided that I wanted to get certified, because I was like, I'm 23. Like, who's going to trust a 23-year-old life coach, right? And so I went through this process. I went through the Institute of Professional Excellence in Coaching, and they had us set the intention to move through a really big limiting belief and like our big belief, like behemoth type thing. And my intention, the biggest intention that I had through the process of my coaching certification, was to go even a day without my shell. Like I at that point in time, when it was going through my certification process, at that point in time, my roommate at the time literally did not ever see me without my shell. I do not think he knew that I had no vision in my right eye, because I was that closeted about it. And I went through the coaching certification process, and I went through that process. I was like deepening balls deep in personal development work, in conjunction with the coaching certification. And by the end of 2017, I like got certified in August of 2017. And then by the end of 2017 was going into 2018 without wearing the shell for a week. I went to the beach, tested that out, and then stopped wearing the shell completely. And on the outside, you would see a woman who's just no longer wearing this thing that became in front of her face. That was like, you just saw her, you just saw me like no longer wear a prosthetic, like basically, right? Like I'm no longer wearing, like if I was missing my arm, like I was no longer wearing like my hand, or, that's just an example, but like that, it is a prosthetic. And it's so funny to tell this story, and I've told this story so many times in so many different facets in so many different ways. And the thing that I always remind myself and have to come back to is, and I have to like remember, is just how far in esteem I came from going to like a roommate literally not even knowing I was half blind because I couldn't even go without my shell, to now not only going without my shell but showing up on the internet without my shell. And it is all because the like level to the degree that I felt like my desire to feel authentic was outweighed by my fear of what people thought of me, basically. And like I got to the point where like and like I also became so grounded and esteemed within myself in that process of 2017. Really, that year is just like profound in my life in terms of transformation. And I really should go look at the astrology of that year for me, because I think I'd find some things. Okay, anyway, we digress. Like that year was like just such a wild form of transformation for me that like I got so deep in the esteem of myself that I actually was able to just like that, like anybody's comments and anybody's making fun of me and anything else that was happening didn't fucking matter, because I was being authentic, because I was owning myself fully and completely, because I was finally able to exist outside of being behind the mask that I felt like I had been wearing for 15 years. And that's really the like precipice point, was that like it felt like a mask. It felt like I was hiding my authentic self, because I was hiding my authentic self. Like I was 1010% hiding my authentic self. And you can even see in like my life and my relationships and what happened when I started authentically owning myself fully. And like just the things that have been able to unfold as a result of me going through the process of me owning myself fully, as a result of deepening myself in my esteem, which is also exactly why that is the work that I work with people on primarily in my life coaching work, is because I know what it's like, because I have oh my gosh, literally, man didn't even know I was half blind. Didn't even know. Like, it's just wild to me to like think about that sometimes. It is really just very wild. Anywho, I could keep talking about it. But I wanted to share the story of why I'm half blind. I also wanted to share the story of why I go without it, because yes, it looks largely okay enough that I can go without it. And also like, I love myself. I don't want to exist behind it's a beautiful piece of art, but I don't want to exist behind it any longer. And it started feeling like such a mask. And I think the thing that I really want to leave you with today, and I will keep talking about it till the end of my freaking life, is that like we wear so many masks, metaphysically, philosophically, metaphorically, spiritually, energetically, for other people, for ourselves even sometimes, that like are not even things that we've told ourselves that we wanted to be, and masks that we wanted to wear, but like other people's. And like there's a combination of masks being worn. And the true process of personal development is taking off every single one of those masks, like one by one by one, which is why it's such a grueling process. And unraveling all of those pieces that are inauthentic, that are the masks, that are keeping you from being authentic. And once you take off all of those masks, then you get to exist authentically. And your authentic self is also your most magnetic self. And that is a story for another time. And if you have made it this far in this video, I thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time, and I love you.